Hello, I'm with Richard, and we've been spending the day talking about Windows Azure. And Richard, you work for AWS.
That's right.
And you've been quite active in that area. So what have you been up to?
Well, we've been working with Azure and the Azure Service Platform now for the best part of a year, actually. Almost, I guess. We worked on a prototype version of a sea safety system for the RNLI prior to the announcement of Azure at the PDC last year.
Okay.
We're now at the stage where we're taking that through to full production. So we're trying to align that really with the announcements of the launch of Azure at the WPCUK09. So we've spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the limits are, if you like, within Azure, and does it fit well with our requirements of the platform. And I'm pleased to say that it fits perfectly, actually. If someone had come to us a year ago and said, we'd like to take all the pain away of hosting this platform for you out of your data center, I would probably have specified pretty much what Azure is right now. It fits absolutely perfectly for us. We've had to make some architectural changes to our application, but most of the code is exactly as it was in the original system. Part of that really is about, we want scalability and we want reliability, but it's the scalability bit that in our existing system we architected it such that it could be scaled in large chunks, if you like. The system addresses a sea safety issue of people falling off fishing boats in the UK, and there's about 6,000 of those boats in the UK. And so we scaled the system to 10,000 to give us a bit of headroom. But if we wanted to add another customer, we're going to have to simply replicate, not simply, but we have to replicate all of our infrastructure. And that's a step change and a big investment, even if we only have a few more customers come on board. So if we want to take this system beyond the fishing community in the UK and into the leisure market, there's 500,000 of those yachts and leisure boats in the UK, 8 million in Europe. We want to scale that. We're going to have to put an awful lot of tin in a lot of data centers to make that work. And that's why Azure fits for us, because we can literally go on and turn a knob, turn it up to 11 and say, right, I need some more, please. And that's exactly what that provides. So to get that scalability and get that seamlessly for our end customers, we did have to make some small changes to our applications. Particularly, we embraced the use of the queuing capabilities within Windows Azure. That allows us to essentially have no single bottlenecks anywhere in our application. And the proof of concept's now gone to prototype, and we're now going through the full engineering piece. So our plan is to launch this in November, and we're going alongside the RNLI to a number of other search and rescue organisations around the world to gauge the interest.
Sounds excellent. And you have other projects on Azure at the moment?
We do.
Integration projects?
Yeah. One particular one which is of interest to us right now, or particular personal interest to me, is we have a knowledge management system that we're building which interprets email communications and does some natural language processing on email communications and tries to form a social graph of the communication that's taking place. So imagine if you were, you managed to tap into all the email going in and out of an enterprise. Okay, so you trapped that information, analysed those emails, did some semantic analysis and natural language processing of that. You can actually draw up a social graph of how people are communicating with one another. And you can even do things like sentiment analysis. You can say that email is angry, right? And that guy has been sending some angry emails to this person for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so from an email governance and management perspective, you can take that information and you can draw these graphs and then reach some conclusions about communications. So you imagine a scenario where you had I'm trying to think of a sensible example. You were a project manager for a large software project, okay? And all emails going in and out, and you're working with a big client and they've got an online collaboration tool that you share information with. Lots of these online collaboration tools are quite challenging to use, and lots of people just tend to bypass them and use email as their means of communication. But what happens at the end of that project when the client comes back and it's all been a disaster and they do a drains up? Where do you go to get the information about what happened when and to whom? Well, if you were tapping that email communication and making some analysis of what was going on, you can actually draw a graph of what's been happening and who communicated with whom and when, who said what and in what tone to what people. And you can learn, you can build up these networks. And that's a project that we're doing in association with Essex University. We've got a postgraduate student with us helping us to define this, and we've got some of the leading experts in natural language processing working on that. And that's a Java-based solution, okay? Because academia prefers to work in that space. So what we're doing is we've got a grant from the government, and it's part of this knowledge transfer program, which is to take academic studies and put them into the commercial world. And we are taking this natural language processing capability and hosting it in Azure, and then feeding all of the communications in and out of the cloud. And it does the processing for you and the storage and draws up this graph, and then through a simple web interface or REST interface or some other interface, you can then suck this information back into other applications and make sense of it. So you can enhance search engines with it, for example.
Can I give you a suggestion as well?
Mm.
Something that I've been kicking around for ages is looking at Twitter streams for sentiment.
Right.
So you will find lots of marketing departments now using Twitter clients to
Yes.
look at what individuals are saying about their technology.
Yes.
And it would be wonderful to look at the sentiment of the tweet and then start graphing it
Yes.
over
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Are they saying positive things? Are they saying
Yes.
negative things? Does
Yes.
it move from negative to hate?
Yes.
Does it
Yes.
move from positive
Yeah.
to love?
Yeah.
That'd be quite a nice little application of that as well.
Absolutely. I think one of the key challenges for this particular solution is that there's an awful lot of investments gone into the Java processing engine, and we would find it very challenging to have to rewrite all that for the cloud, for a Microsoft language, say C#, for example. So what we've actually been able to do is to host the Java virtual machine in the cloud. And we've written some RESTlet interfaces that mimic the conventional mechanisms for accessing REST-based services, so that we can actually talk to Azure storage and so on, and the Java service has been essentially spawned off from the inside the role. So we've got the whole thing in Java running on this managed Microsoft platform, which is quite an interesting model. We're at early stages of that, and there are some interop challenges that we face, but we'll overcome them, I'm sure. But yeah, that's another interesting project. Another one that we're working on is doing some image processing in the cloud. I mean, you'll be familiar with technology such as Deep Zoom and so on. We have some clients that are particularly interested in wanting to view high-resolution CAD images, okay, which don't lend themselves. They tend to be in formats such as AutoCAD, Autodesk kind of formats, that don't lend themselves to things like Deep Zoom technology. But we have a prototype now where we can take a large multi-layer CAD image, upload that into the cloud, and then we have a cloud processing element which then renders that back out as Deep Zoom tiles. So if you happen to be wanting to view a 100 megabyte multi-layer AutoCAD drawing on your smartphone, then using that Deep Zoom technology, you can only look at the bit you need. Okay. Bandwidth problems go away. So there are those kinds of projects that we're working on. Yeah.
And any other projects?
Yeah, we had some great fun a couple of weeks ago. We went over to Redmond and spent some time with the product guys over there, the product team. We had one challenge that was facing us on the RNLI MOB Guardian solution, and that was how are we going to monitor application performance. Being a safety of life system, it's really important to us that we know what the applications are doing. We trust you guys and we trust Azure to manage the tin and the OS for us, right? But we still need to manage the application. So we've invented that's probably a little strong. We've utilised the .NET Service Bus as a means of remoting TCP/IP endpoints.
Okay.
So we can now connect any TCP/IP endpoint to any other TCP/IP endpoint, irrespective of whether they're behind firewalls or not, and do it in a secure way. So you can imagine a situation where you can have a SQL Server database on premise behind your firewall without port 1433 open, yet you can talk to it from the cloud. That's one example. We're using it particularly for sending SNMP messages, Simple Network Management Protocol messages, to System Center. And my IT manager won't open his firewall to inbound ports from SNMP, but we can run this service and use the service bus, and our application can send traps or alerts, if you like, from our application through the service bus and into MOM or System Center. And then we can deal with those alarms. So we've got a monitoring system for Azure in development.
Very nice. Very good use of .NET Service Bus.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.